Friends? No, it's not.
No, it's close.
It's close, though. Steve always keeping us guessing. This might as well just be like Name That Tune with Steve in the box. Hey, thanks for hanging out, gang. You are back live, and this is The Secret Stash. I'm your host, Jesse Ibanez, co-founder of the Greenhouse Group, helping folks get into and out of homes right here in the heart of San Diego. Go check us out at thegreenhousegroupinc.com. If you want to catch the vapors of what seems to already be the waning months of summer. And if our business, everything's like 30 days at least postponed, so it's like already fall for us. But the market's hot right now, and that's actually a thread we're going to be playing on with these two dapper gentlemen in the studio today. I got Kyle Yaege of Hickman Robinson LLP. You can, by the way, catch Kyle and the rest of his crew down at hickmanrobinsonlaw.com, or you can call them at 619-819-8383. Again, that's 619-819-8383. And Charles Williams. Charles, holding it down over at Friedman, Brannon & Associates, and they're over at Friedman, Brannon. That's a hard thing to spell, so let's just give out the number. We'll say 858-794-2800. Again, that's 858-794-2800 right here in Carmel Valley. Now, gentlemen, we've been doing a good job, I think, at trying to rescue people tuning in, Stash Nation right now, to potential complex business situations and making them simple, avoiding the pitfalls, that kind of thing. The planning for the exit is something that hardly anybody thinks about, right? Everybody, I can think of it just like a romance. It's like when you're dating and you're courting, no one's thinking about the breakup, right? And you shouldn't be. But in business, you gotta be, right? So let's start playing on that thread, gentlemen. What say you about it? And I kicked it off last time with Charles. So Kyle, what do you got for us for not making him in the state of not planning for the exit?
Sure. Planning for the exit is kind of two pieces. One is planning for the exit the way you want it to end. A lot of people. We've got one right now where they agreed on a loan, but they didn't specify when it was going to be repaid. And
like a private note?
Yeah, and then they argue about it. And if they had just talked about what that timeline was on the front end, they had a clear means for here's what's expected of everybody, and they could, playing back on our earlier portions. So planning for your exit isn't just planning for something to go wrong and how do you avoid that turning into a full-blown dispute. It's also just planning for what's your expectation at the end of the contract. The other piece is the what if something goes wrong? How do we value the harm that's done? How do we separate our interests in a way that doesn't have us tied together for years and years and years? That the example that we were giving earlier about personal guarantees is one we see all the time. People sign a personal guarantee on a lease or a vendor contract, and then the business gets sold, or they get divorced and their spouse takes it, or whatever, and then down the line, that business fails, that contract gets breached, and guess who was the personal guarantor that was never relieved of their obligation? Well,
you mentioned like real estate leasing and stuff, but I mean, good luck finding a good spot around town that doesn't require it.
Oh, no, it's not necessarily that you're going to avoid the guarantee. You can just have terms in the contract that specify that there's an indemnity right against the other owners or the assignee, that you have some security interest against business assets that protects you in case they don't perform the way that they're supposed to. You can't eliminate the risk, but there are tools that you can use to try to eliminate as much of it as possible if you're trying to move on.
Yeah, I love that thought. So Charles, exit plans. Now you're dealing over in the number stuff all too often. So what are some mistakes people are making in that capacity?
Actually, if you don't mind if I flip it around?
Yeah, please.
You talk about when everything went wrong, but let's talk about when everything goes right.
Good. Good.
I like that as far as an exit strategy too.
Yeah.
Because you want to know how much is enough money that you're going to make for your business when you want to sell it.
Well, it's never enough, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's say you created a piece of technology that's amazing, and you start out with your small business, and now it's worth $10 million. Is that going to be your exit strategy? And then are you going to be a consultant? Do you really want to work part-time as in 12 hours a day, or do you want to work part-time as in 5 hours a day? Small business owners have a lot weighing on them. So it's really interesting, from an exit planning strategy, is not only what he was talking about, limiting risk and trying to prevent things from going wrong, but what happens when everything goes right.
Okay.
So I think we were talking about this before with the market the way it is, how hot it is right now. If you have a business that is your stock's going way up, maybe now is you want to look and see what your assets are worth. You want to see what the fair market value of your stuff is. You got in really low and it's really high. Great. That's excellent timing. So exit planning is a little bit of both.
Yeah. I think a lot of people's exit strategy when you're dealing with partners is kind of like, because partners usually fail, right?
Yeah, well, partners, some of them are fantastic, but exit planning is a routine problem.
Right.
Yeah, they just, they expect that they're both going to live forever and they'll die on the exact same day. They'll go, Adams and Jefferson, right? July 4th, it's done.
Yeah.
And so, there are ways, people do key man insurance and they put buyout provisions in their agreements and things. But if you fail to make those plans in advance, you end up with, your spouse that you want to see taken care of, that, how much of the value of the business are they going to get? And are they going to have to go hire somebody to interrupt the operations of the business and make your other partners uncomfortable to try to shake enough money loose to pay your spouse so that they have something to live on, or the, spouse and child. So, planning for those things isn't just for the sake of your partners. It's for the sake of everybody that's dependent on you.
That's well said, man.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. So the shotgun doesn't work?
Shotgun does not work.
No?
Shotgun does not work.
Shotgun, no?
How about the cha-ching?
Yeah, you have the cha-ching.
Yeah, I've got...
There we go. Yeah,
okay,
so there are ways to get there. You just have to plan for it.
Good. So what else, gang? What else? So we talked about the buy-sell agreement, that whole thing. I love that thought, by the way. That structure's a critical part. Beginning with the end in mind, maybe more utopian. If you've got that about you, hey, hallelujah. For the rest of us, we got to kind of figure it out dynamically. Are there any other provisions or anything like that? Like you mentioned the buy-sell, anything else like that?
I would say that you want to manage the operation of your business, plan for the manager of your operation and business. If something happens, if somebody becomes disabled or they want to get out, you can specify, ways for the partners to value their interests so that you don't end up litigating over that. I mean, I've handled a number of those cases where one partner wants to exit, but they can't agree on what the value of the property of the business is. And if you've got something in your agreement, in your operating agreement, if you've got an LLP or LLC, or if you've got just a general partnership agreement, but something that specifies, hey, if you want to get out, this is the calculation. This is how we're going to do the math to figure out what your interest is. Then you don't have to argue with each other over
I like that. That gets another point.
All right.
That's really good. Not that we're keeping points.
Oh, no, no.
That was a good one. Good. I like that. What do you think, Charles?
I just wanted to continue on. We talk about exit strategies. I mean, like he's saying, some people, their exit strategy is like they're never going to sell their business.
Yeah.
They're going to give it to their kids.
Right.
So that's life planning.
Right.
And so...
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Right. This just turned into a life plan show.
So, I mean, you want to just look at when you're doing your exit plan for your business alone, is your plan to, have your kids assume your business?
Right.
And you have
what if they don't want it?
And what if they don't want it? Exactly. So it gets interesting. I mean, but those are just considerations that you want to deal with up front.
Yeah.
And let's say all your kids are not, you don't want to give it to all your kids. You want to give it to one. That's another choice that you want to make up front, and you want to make sure that's clear to the other partner as well.
Yeah, that makes Thanksgiving real comfortable.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can plan for it without having to talk about it.
Yeah. Sure. Pass the cranberries, Johnny. You can afford them. That's good. Well, hey, listen, that's exactly why we wanted to have you guys in the studio today to kind of hash through this stuff. And Kyle Yaege over at Hickman & Robinson. You got to catch them out, by the way, at hickmanrobinsonlaw.com or 619-819-8383. Thank you so much for hanging out in the studio, Kyle.
Thanks for having us.
And by the way, Kyle, if you liked anything that he said today in the boardroom, situation room, you might call it. Wolf Blitzer just got like a dime somewhere. He's offering a free stash giveaway. So if you go on the site, it's secretstashradio.com, and you find this episode in the YouTube, it's going to be rebroadcasting. There's going to be a little coupon under there. And what's that coupon going to say?
It's going to say that if you are a business owner, specifically, especially if you're a sole proprietor and you're considering entity formation, we'll give you a free consultation, talk to you about the benefits of it and how that process works.
Because that typically costs what?
It's the total formation process is $2,250. The consultation normally takes us an hour or two, so it's between $250 and $500.
There you go, gang. Kyle throwing it in there. $250, man. Appreciate that, brother. Oh, the golf clap was a little late on that. That's good. Got him. Okay, good. Charles Williams, Friedman, and FriedmanBrannon.com, 858-794-2800. And Charles, what are you leaving in the stash?
Sure. If you've received a tax notice, a lot of times that is if you want to bring that in, we are happy to look at it for you. Happy to help you with any possible course of action you want to take. So just bring it on in.
I appreciate you guys. And I appreciate you for hanging out as well, Stash Nation. Another wonderful episode here. I appreciate you guys. This has been really fruitful. So for coming in and leaving us all better than how you found this, which of course is our goal here every Tuesday on ESPN Radio 1700. Next week we've got immigration on the docket, and we got Antonio Maldonado coming in from Maldonado Law Group. So you're not gonna want to miss that. Lots of really good stuff, and we got more stuff coming up here at the noon o'clock hour. I just made a word. ESPN Radio 1700. We'll see you guys back in next week. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.